had taken their first steps into the shadowy world of Al-Qaeda. Facilities at the desert camps were Spartan. 3 or 4 makeshift buildings served as headquarters. Recruits lived in small tents. Ammunition was in short supply. Days began with a prayer, followed by several hours of physical training, running, weightlifting, and target practice. Their training was also part of a sophisticated sorting process that looked for skills useful to Al-Qaeda. Especially prized were militants with advanced technical and language skills, like the men from Hamburg.
When you get somebody like Atta and Ziad who speak perfect English and German as well, they can mix with Westerners a bit easily. They are completely different caliber.
In the eyes of Al-Qaeda, they were the perfect men to lead a mission for their jihad. Shortly after the men arrived, they were summoned to Al-Qaeda's house of Ghamdi in Kandahar. There, the Hamburg Four met Osama bin Laden and pledged their loyalty to him. Bin Laden then asked if they would accept a martyrdom operation. They agreed. The men had talked about becoming martyrs in a holy war for years. Now their moment had come. Bin Laden chose Mohammed Atta to be the leader of the group.
Atta was a very focused guy and would do what he was told. Given a problem, he would work it through, and without distraction.
The Hamburg Four were now assigned to what bin Laden called the Plains Operation. Their task would be to hijack aircraft and use them to strike targets in the United States. They were sent from Kandahar to meet a man named Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was to give them operational details. More specific training included how to use code words in conversation, how to interpret airline timetables, and make travel reservations. Finally, the men were instructed to return to Hamburg and apply to flight schools. The Four were no longer radicals looking for a fight, but a terrorist cell. Soon, they would head to the United States to carry out their mission. In late 1999, Mohammed Atta, Ramzi bin al-Shib, Marwan al-Shehi, and Ziad Jarrah, the core members of the Hamburg cell, pledged themselves to become martyrs in what they called the Plains Operation, an ambitious plot using commercial aircraft to strike landmark buildings in America. One by one, the men left an Al-Qaeda training camp and returned to Germany. On his trip, Ziad Jarrah barely escaped capture. Customs inspectors at Dubai airport became suspicious when they noticed that Jarrah had pasted a page of the Quran into his passport. When they searched his luggage, they discovered piles of radical Muslim propaganda. What he did next remains a mystery to terrorism experts worldwide. He talked freely about his future plans.
He did tell the people in Dubai airport was that he was planning on going to America to learn how to fly.
Officials in Dubai insist that they informed US authorities about the incident, but the CIA says that no such warning was ever received. After interrogating Jarrah for 4 hours, officials released him. In time, the men regrouped in Hamburg. Their visit to Osama bin Laden had not caused a single ripple within German intelligence.
Then they were listed as Hamburg students, as normal students. But nobody knew, especially the German police did not know, that they were self-educating terrorists.
As instructed by Al-Qaeda, they destroyed their passports to erase all record of their travels. They reported the documents lost and were promptly issued new passports. they shed their Muslim dress and rarely attended Al-Quds Mosque, hoping to disappear into the crowd. After months without contact, Ziad Jarrah suddenly appeared on his girlfriend Aisel's doorstep. He refused to tell her where he'd been, but was soon talking about taking flying lessons. Meanwhile, the Hamburg cell began researching flight schools in the United States. By early 2000, Atta, Jarrah, and al-Shehi had received their US visas without difficulty.
They came from good families, they had no police record, and increasingly that's what Al-Qaeda is looking for in its operatives, is that they're clean.
But Ramzi bin al-Shib would never get the necessary visa to become the fourth pilot.
He was rejected solely because he was seen as a likely economic migrant, not because he was suspected of being a terrorist.
That March, Mohammed Atta emailed 31 different flight schools to inquire about their courses. Atta wrote, "We are a small group, 2 to 3 of young men from different Arab countries. We would like to start training for the career of airline professional pilots." By the spring of 2000, Jarrah had been accepted to a flight school in Venice, Florida. This is Jarrah's contract with the Florida Flight Training Center. Atta and al-Shehi would apply to a different flight school in the Venice area. To avoid suspicion, the three men took separate flights to the US, and that summer, each one passed through Newark International Airport without incident.
There's no crime, there's no police record, there's really no intelligence record against them.
Bin al-Shib stayed behind in Hamburg. His job would be to help funnel instructions and money from Al-Qaeda to the men in the US. Meanwhile, the members of the Hamburg cell arrived in Florida and tried to blend in with the locals in the sun-drenched coastal town of Venice.
They wore khakis and polo shirts. They did most of their shopping at Walmart. They ate at Pizza Huts, and it's almost a typical American life.
That summer, Atta and al-Shehi started their flying lessons at Huffman Aviation, where they caught the attention of their fellow students.
The first time that I set eyes on them, what struck me was Muhammad Atta had a bearing about him which was very rigid, very steely eyes. There was never a flicker of emotion in his eyes, never. And al-Shehi seemed to be the one that was a little bit more relaxed, bumbling after him, if you like.
According to other students, Atta and al-Shehi were rarely seen apart. Atta was usually giving orders, which al-Shehi dutifully obeyed. Their relationship even sparked a rumor that Atta was a prince and that al-Shehi was his servant. According to Anne Greaves, the two men received special attention from the instructors.
And I do remember saying to my flight instructor one day, why is it that these guys, they seem to me to get preferential treatment? Who are they? What are they doing here? And the flight instructor replying to me that they were Arab royalty, that the man we now know as Muhammad Atta was a prince. I said, I don't believe they're royalty. No way. I said, for one thing, they don't have the manners.
At night, the two often stopped by the Outlook pub for a drink.
They drank, they left the bartenders nice tips, you know. I mean,